Hi guys, Autumn here today to do my November wrap-up. I read 29 books in the month of November and 1 book so far in the month of December, which I'll talk about. And yes, that's a lot of books, so I'm going to try to go as quickly as possible. This is going to be in no particular order. So let me start with the book, one of the first books I read, which I don't have a physical copy of, and that is Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becca Albertelli. This is book 1 in the Creekwood series. This is a YA book. I read this for the Lalathon. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. This was the first book by the author. It follows Simon, who is gay, but not openly gay. And one of his classmates or someone in his hometown was outed, and he starts emailing him. And yes, it's his journey. I really enjoyed it. 3 out of 5 stars. And then the next 4 I'm going to talk about, I don't actually have a physical copy of either, and they are the first 4 books in the Read Me Romance podcast, which is really good. I love it. So in the month of November, Tessa Bailey and Alexa Riley, who consists of 2 authors, Leah and what is the other one? I don't know. Started a podcast, and this is for romance books, and they're audiobooks. So all week you get a chapter or 2 in their little novella books. So the first one was Closer by Alexa Riley, and this follows Ava and Lucas. Ava is a lingerie, I wouldn't say model, but she is a model, and Lucas is like Ava's boss's brother, and he comes in to help do some PR, and a lot of stuff happens. If you've read Alexa Riley, you know. I really enjoyed it, 4 out of 5 stars. The second one was Renaissance Man by Tessa Bailey. This was the first book by her that I've listened to / read, which I enjoyed. This follows Cameron and Kyle at a Renaissance fair. Cameron was, I would say, was the prize after a group of guys fought for her, and yes, this I gave 3 out of 5 stars. The third of their podcast was Fake Love by Claire Coturnes. Excuse me. This was also a first book by author that I read. This follows Everly and Corey. This is a friends to lovers romance, but they're also fake dating. And I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Really enjoyed it. And then the 4th book, which was last week's, was Heavy Equipment by Skye Warren. Again, first book by the author. 3 out of 5 stars. This follows June and Asher. This was a darker romance, which I enjoyed. June, like, her father owed some money, and Asher was there to collect. So those are the books that I've read on the podcast. And now I think I have 1 or 2 more that I don't have a physical copy of. No, just 1. And that is Knuckle Down by Chanel Fernando, which is book 2 in the Curse Ravens Motorcycle Club. This follows Cecilia and Nichols. Cecilia is a journalist, and she is best friends with Erin, who is the main female in book 1. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars, and this was part of the romance package. Yes. Now I'm gonna talk about the ones on my Kindle. So the first 4 or 3. Is it 4? No, the first 4 I'm going to talk about are by Alexa Riley. So the first one is Curvy by Alexa Riley. This I gave 3.5 out of 5 stars. This follows Cal and Flynn, and this one was free. And this follows Cal, who is a lingerie model, plus size lingerie model, and Flynn, whose company is working with them, and yes, and it's just like all of their romances. Then I read Judge by Alexa Riley. This was their new release, or one of their new releases in the month of November. This came out on the 5th. This was part of Kindle Limited. So, this follows Nora and Smith, and this is a age gap taboo. So if you're not a fan of that, I would not recommend. But this follows Nora, who is homeless, and she gets in trouble. She got caught stealing, and Smith is her judge, and yes. Then I read Hungry for More by Alexa Riley. This was their Thanksgiving novella for the month, and this also came out on the 15th of November, part of Kindle Limited. This follows Sage and Jensen, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. This follows Jensen, who works with Sage's brother, and he doesn't have a family, so he comes home to spend Thanksgiving with Sage and her brother, and yes, 4 out of 5. And then the last book I'm going to talk about by Alexa Riley is this one just released. Is Lift by Alexa Riley, and this came out on the 29th of November. This follows Sloane, who is down on her luck, is living with her, I wouldn't say one of her friends, and she is a Lyft driver / Uber driver type thing. And then one night she picks up Harris, who is a workaholic, and things get interesting. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. And so now the next 4 or 5, sorry, I'm looking at them, are all part of a series, and that is the Rock Chick series by Kristen Ashley. So the first one I read was Rock Chick Revenge. This I gave 5 out of 5 stars. This follows Ava and Luke. Yes. I'm not going to mention what they are about, because they're pretty similar in the fact that they meet the guy, like, they're running from something, the guy helps, stuff like that. And then the next one I read was Rock Chick Reckoning. This is book 6 in the Rock Chick series. This follows Stella and Mace. 4 out of 5 stars. And Stella is a rock star. And then Rock Chick Regret. And then it's Rock Chick Regret. Book 7. This follows Sadie and Hector. 4 out of 5 stars. And this one is a little more trigger warning than the others. There is something that happens to Sadie that might be trigger for other people, so just be aware. Rock Chick Revolution is the 8th book. This was my favorite book in the series. This follows Allie and Ren. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Highly recommend this. Actually, the series in a whole is really good. I really enjoyed it. So, yes. And then the last book in that series is A Rock Chick Reborn, which is a novella that follows Charlene and Moses. And Charlene is a side character in the Rock Chick series. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. And this also came out this year. It came out in April. Now, the next book I'm going to show you, and then I have 2 on Kindle that I have to show you too, but is Tattered by Denvi Perry. This is book 1 in the Lark Cove series. This follows Thea and Logan. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars, and this one came out in May the 31st. This was a Romance Reveal book box, even though this copy was not. I do have a different one. I listened to this on audio, gave it 5 out of 5 stars. This follows Thea and Logan, where one night they meet in a bar, and 5 years later, Logan comes to Lark Cove and sees Thea with a daughter. So yes, 5 out of 5 stars. Then I read Timid by Denvi Perry. This is book 2. This follows Willa and Jackson, 5 out of 5 stars. And this one came out in September the 4th. And this follows Willa and Jackson. Willa is friends with Thea, and Jackson is Thea's like brother. So yes. And then I read Tragic, which is book 3 in the Lark Cove series. Sorry about that. I'm getting messages. Sorry. And if I remember correctly, this came out on the 13th of November, so a new release. And this follows Piper and Kane. 5 out of 5 stars. Piper is Logan's like assistant, and Kane is just a resident in Lark Cove. So, yes, really enjoyed that series. And then the next one I'm going to mention is Wild Collision by Makalia Smalser. I did a book talk on this, so I'll leave that link down below. So I won't even say what I think about it. I'll just tell you, watch it. And I am wearing a Wild sweatshirt from that. So, yes. I will leave that link down below. I think I only have one more. No, I have a few more Kindle books to talk about. And then I read Until Kobe. I think that's how I'm saying it. I don't know if that's right. By Aurora Rose Reynolds. This came out on the 27th. This follows Kobe and, what is her name? Hardly? Something like that? Hardly. Yeah. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It came out on the 27th, as I said. This is book 3 in the Until Him series and book 7 in the overall series of the Until Her, Until Him. 5 out of 5 stars, and really enjoyed it. And then the next one, I don't actually have a copy. I got it during the Audible sale, which you'll see in my audiobook haul. Wrong by Jana Austen, which is book 1 in the Wrong series and first book by the author. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and that follows Sophie and Luke. I listened to it on audio, but that follows Sophie, who needs to go to the doctor, and then she meets Luke, and stuff happens. Gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Really enjoyed it. And then I read the second book, which is Right, book 2 in that series, and that follows Everly and Sawyer. Everly had a huge crush on Sawyer's brother, and she goes home for a holiday, and Sawyer ends up taking her home. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Fling, which is book 2.5 or 3 in that series, and this follows Sandra and Gabe. This is a little novella. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. I borrowed this from the library. So, and I also have it on audio. And then the next, then I read the 4th book, or 3rd or 4th book, however you want to look at it, Trust by Jenna Ashton, which is book 4. This is the only book I read in December, and this follows Chloe and Boyd. Chloe is friends with Everly. She was like high school friends, or younger friends, and Boyd is Sophie's brother. So yes, 3 out of 5 for that one, and I also borrowed that from the library. And I think that's all the Kindle book. Yes. Okay, now moving on my little stack of paperbacks. The first one is Insistent by Kaylee Ryan. This is book 4 in the Soul Serenade series. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars, and this came out also on the 27th. This follows Cassidy and Gavin, and I really enjoyed it. And this is also signed. I did order a signed copy, if I could. So, yes. Then I read Hate Notes by V. Keelan and Penelope Ward. This came out on the 6th. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. This follows Charlotte and Reed, and this is a workplace romance, and I did enjoy it. 4 out of 5. Yeah. And then also for the Lullathon, I read To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. This is book 1 in the To All the Boys I Loved Before series, or the Laura Jean series. And yes, and then I watched the movie, which I really liked. But pretty much this follows Laura Jean, who has written letters to all the boys she loved. And then one day they get out and she has to deal with the aftermath. And then I read P.S. I Still Love You by Jenny Han. This is book 4 in that series. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars and listened to it on audio, and I enjoyed it. Then I reread #Hater by Cambria Herbert. This is book 2 in the # series. This is follows Ramble and Romeo. 5 out of 5 stars. Listen to audio, and it's signed. And yes, I love this series. This one's a little darker, so just beware, but really good. And then finally, I read Seduce Me by Kelly Elliott. This came out on the 6th. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. This is also book 1 in the Austen single series. This follows Charleston and Tucker. This is a second chance romance, and this also came out on the 6th. As I said, I listened to it on audio, and it was also a romance package book. I think I got this in October, so it is signed. And So this follows Charleston, who her dad just died, passed away, so she has to run his business, and in the clause it says she has to get married. So she turns to Tucker, who was her high school sweetheart, and yes, I really enjoyed it. And this one is one of Kelly Elliott's more steamy reads, so just be aware of that. I did like it though, so yes. Those are all the 30 books I read in the last month. I know it's a lot, and I'm sorry. Thank you for all those who stuck to this video, and if you want like a full review on any of these, just let me know, and I will leave the link down for the Wild Collision book talk. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye.